There you go.
Good evening. Talk tonight is World War II ration items. I started displaying World War II memorabilia when I was working with the coins in World War II. I came up with some family ration books, same as Ted did, and I guess he's going to pass those around. I didn't bring those with me, but when Randy saw the display I had, he came up and he said, "I got something for you." And he said, "It's for sale, but it's still for you." And he had a ration book. It's to hold the books of the ration coupons and the tokens in the front here. So there were a couple tokens in it and a couple books, but I didn't have them protected like Ted did, so I wasn't going to pass this around. I was just going to show. So it was good news that I had the opportunity to have Ted pass the other ones around. So we're going to start with the ration tokens. You'll see them in the background of each one of the slides.
Hey, Chip, what's OPA mean?
Office of Price Administration. We'll get into that.
Right.
Question was, what does OPA mean? It's the Office of Price Administration. What they did is they tried to set the monetary values for different items and control rents. There we go. The Office of Price Administration was established when the Office of Energy Management of the United States government, by executive order, and it came down to price controls. So they could control the stuff during the war. The main part of the talk tonight is the points themselves. They're red and they're blue, and each one had a different type of material that they would get change for. Features of the tokens, they're obviously from the United States, and they were only for about a 3-year period. Even though rationing started, I believe, in '41, they didn't have the points available. They're vulcanized fiber. They're a little bit smaller than the dime in diameter. They're round, and the obverse and the reverse are in what they call coin alignment, not metal alignment like our metals are. And they were demonetized in '45. The Osborne Coinage Company fax, those were the company that they were made from. I put the one up that we needed to talk about. The manufacturing of 5 billion of these ration tokens during the war, and at some point they had reached 80 million tokens a day. I think one of those numbers that I found is wrong. This whole slide was from their presentation that they gave, and I found it on the internet. Because I can't feature 80 million a day and only 5 billion. So I'm betting it's more like 50 billion of these were made for that time period. But there was 3 years that they were used. The ration coupons and tokens, there's a book of coupons were issued to allow only a certain amount of each item to be bought. And if you didn't buy a full portion of that item, that's what the tokens were used for as change for that. And you could get them to build up, so you could end up with more buying power, if you will, than what the actual ration book had in it. So people would actually hoard those. All right, here's a newspaper explanation of what the stamps and the tokens did. You can see the right here, that's the stamps in the book, and then she's getting some change back here, and he's taking them back at that point, I believe. There's an example of one of the books with some coupons. They're all different colors. Some would be for grains and type stuff, breads probably. And then they actually had them for gasoline as well. And you had an A, a B, a C. I don't know if there was a D, but that was a sticker on your car. And if you had an A stamp, you could get gas in your A car on a certain day in a certain amount. Okay, that's enough background. What we're really going to look at today is really the tokens themselves, because they're round, but they're not too shiny, but they still caught my attention. Facts that are red and there are blue points. They're made from a coined fibrous material. It's celluloid, I was told. And each point is imprinted with the OPA, Office of Price Administration. The color in two different ways. The color of the token themselves, and it's spelled out on the token what color it is. And then the value. I don't know why they put the value on, because they're always all just one point. And there's a 2-letter code. And I have found nothing about the code, no matter where I've looked. And the only thing that I can find about it is that there's a couple that are very, very rare. There's another group that are semi-rare. There's another group that are called rare, but then there's the common group. So points are distributed to vendors in sealed small tag board. I was talking with Bill Coe, and he said he remembers getting the cardboard boxes. You'll see pictures of them here in a second, with 250 tokens in it. And the vendors would get that, and then they could fill that back up again, and that's how you went back and forth to the bank or to wherever you got the tokens from. There are the boxes. You can buy these today on eBay. You can take a whole box of 50 or 250 and look through them, but I don't think you're going to find any of the real rare ones in there. I think they're all pretty well picked over. Because I believe there was in the neighborhood of 100 of the rarest ones that were made. So we'll look at the 2-letter codes in pretty depth here at this point. Like I said, over here I can't find... Oh. Sorry.
Here we go.
It said reset itself.
New computer. What I wanted to do was the button. I can't find any rhyme or reason to the codes. There are different codes for each of the red and the blue tokens. And there are a different number of codes for each one of the tokens. There's 30 different red tokens and 24 different blue tokens. And there are common, semi-rare, rare, ultra, and there's 2 that are the ultra rare ones. These are all the letter combinations that there are. You'll see the rare here, the MV, WH. And as you can tell, there's very little rhyme to what they are. You know, I started thinking, you know, maybe they went all alphabetically, and then no. And so that's going to be another task here. Okay, why would anybody want to collect them? Well, you can collect a couple different ways. You can collect one of either color, you can collect both colors, you can collect all the reds, all the blues, or maybe you want all of both colors, I don't know. But wait, there's more. Canada did them too. Canada's was only the blue that I found at this point. They had a hole in the middle, no idea why that was, maybe string around, carry them like a necklace and nobody can steal them, I don't know. And they were only for meat. And I found those in the museum up in Canada when we were at, not Ottawa, Quebec, at the fort there, and they had them. So I purchased a couple of those to add to my collection. And I put a whole bunch in the auction tonight, so if everybody else is interested, that may be a spot for you to start. So, any questions? That's about as far as I can go with what I've found at this point, and hopefully,
A little addition to it. Everybody, no matter what your age was, got the same amount of coupon and token. So if you were 1 year old, you'd get a pound of meat a month. So large families had an advantage over small families.
You mentioned celluloid, substance, but celluloid was actually the first type of plastic that came out. And among jewelry, celluloid items are very desirable, very collectible jewelry, and candles and knobs and various and sundry things out of that first plastic, and all that stuff is collectible.
now, these are fibrous, and then one of the places I went to called it the celluloid. I can't tell you for sure if that's exactly what it is, but you can see them up here. They're there, and I've got others over my table. Yep.
I just wondered if maybe the codes work, because maybe they were planning or leaving the option that they could possibly have want other numbers and assign them for different things. You know, as if the war went on, that it was just leaving their options open, that they could maybe make them with other, values or something like that.
Could very well be.
There has to be a reason.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were all made by the same company until I started putting this presentation together and came across that when I was doing some research.
I mean, you have to control them because they're valuable, and you don't want somebody putting them on in the black market. So if you see some that are circulating somewhere, too many CHs, then you can track them down, who's letting those out. I know the Ration books were passed out by teachers. They had the volunteer job, since you needed teachers, they weren't going to be drafted. They did work on Fridays to hand out the Ration coupon books. And so probably the same thing here, but they wanted something that they could track them down if somebody was letting too many out.
Well, I think these were coins, and Bill, you said you knew about taking these someplace or getting them from somewhere?
Yeah, you take them to a regular bank and they would exchange them. It's like you exchange money, only you would do tokens or stamps.
Okay.
I have a question on the Canadian one. You said they were all blue. Were they all meat, or did they have other things printed on them?
Meat is the only one I found, so maybe that was the only thing that they rationed. I haven't done a lot of research at this point. Okay.
My parents said that the gasoline and butter, those are the ones that were people wanted. They traded for them.
Did you say rubber or
Butter.
Butter.
Okay.
Sugar,
Yeah, I
sugar
know
was
the
another
tires
one.
were rationed too.
Sugar was,
Sugar was a big one.
Yeah.
Sugar was the last item that was unrationed, and that wasn't until 1947. It was in the paper. It was this week in 1947 that they dropped rationing of sugar.
I have a funny story about that.
And rent control lasted until 1959
Okay.
and still exists to some extent in New York City. Buffalo had it for a long time after 59.
Did everybody hear that? That the rent control was actually going on until the late 50s, and some of it's even going on now.
yeah, especially in the city. Yeah.
Bill?
It was my turn at my dad's store to count these things up, so that when he took them, how many was in a roll, I wanted to trade them in like rolls of cash. I got to do the counting.
How many MVs did you come across?
I didn't know at that time to look at it.
Just counting. Let's go.
There's one in the auction tonight if anybody wants to spring. Yep. Check.
Oh, I don't know if you said and I missed it, but why were there two colors if they were both worth a point?
One was for canned items, and the other one was for fresh items, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I think that coincided with the colors of the stamps that they were from. Correct, Bill?
I thought the red was for leaf, the blue was for all the others.
Okay.
Which is it?
I have an embarrassing, funny story. When it happened, it wasn't that funny about rationing. I was just a little kid like this, and my father had just put tile in the kitchen of the house we lived in and hadn't fully set. And in the middle of the night, my mother said she woke up, and because she heard water, and she came out, and the kitchen was flooded. And I was standing there, and she said, "What happened?" It was the middle of the night. I was a little kid. I was awake. I said, "Mommy, I baked you a cake." She said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, come." So I used the toilet as the oven. And I packed it with sugar, which was ration. She had all these ration stamps to buy that stuff. They weren't amused. Anyhow, Chip, we want to present you with the certificate of appreciation for your talk. And once again, I want to thank Craig Charles who put all these together. If anybody gave a talk this year and hasn't received one and would like one, let Craig know. I think that's it.
And since you're still here, here's your medal for just doing your talk. So.
Okay, so we